Let's continue with our free astrotheology course. This is the Gospel and the Zodiac, the secret truth about JC, the Christ figure. All right, the Gospel and the Zodiac, the secret truth about JC, the Christ figure, and the author of this book is the Reverend Bill Darrell-El. The link to a free PDF is in the description area of the video, so get it. But if you want to have the original book, I believe this book is available on Amazon. So support the author if you have the money. If you want to have the book, buy it. I'm sure he would appreciate it. Okay, I'm sure he will appreciate it. You know, when you're an author, there's really no greater honor than when someone buys your book. Because it makes you feel like people appreciate your work. And feeling appreciated is very often more meaningful than getting some money, okay? The feeling that you are appreciated. But anyway, this is a free astrotheology class. So let's get into it. Last time we left off on Pisces. The subheading that we left off on is the yearly cycle from Pisces to Aries. That's our subheading. All right, the yearly cycle from Pisces to Aries. Pisces being the end of the modern zodiacal year. Let me rephrase that. Pisces being the end or the last zodiac sign, and Aries being the first zodiac sign, okay? So Aries in modern times is the beginning of the year, the natural year in spring. This is modern astrology, not ancient. Ancient astrology, as far back as the record goes, began in Virgo, covenant of grace. All right, but again, just to orient you, in modern times, Aries is the beginning of the year, which is spring, the vernal equinox. All right, or the spring equinox. And then the end of the year is Pisces, which is the last zodiac sign. Hence the subheading, the yearly cycle from Pisces to Aries. All right, end of Pisces, end of the year, beginning of the new year, which is Aries. Okay, last zodiac sign, and then what follows? The next zodiac sign, or the first one, which is Aries. Okay, so we left off on page 212. So let's go to 212. Let me get myself situated. I'm like a giant in Vietnam, y'all. Literally like a giant in Vietnam. If y'all saw the chairs and everything, it looked like little it looked like play furniture for children, to be honest with you. You know how you buy your children doll furniture, or you have elementary age students, and you know you have the little table and the little chairs. It's like that over here. Because most people they have a smaller stature. So page 212, that's where we're going to start. Y'all should remember that Pisces section of Mark is Mark 14, verse 17 through chapter 16, verse 8. Okay? Yeah, y'all remember to like and share the video. Remember to like and share the video. Okay? So page 212, here we go. Oh, by the way, the reason why I almost forgot, the reason why I mentioned the subheading, from Pisces to Aries, what we're dealing with here, I guess the central theme is death and decay and rebirth or regeneration, new life. All right? That's the idea being that we're dealing with here, the theme. Now let's get into it. Let's show an example of that. Pilate asked JC if he is the king of the Jews. And above his cross was written, quote, the king of the Jews, end quote. This is Mark chapter 15, verse 26. These motifs reflect the second deacon of Pisces. That second deacon is Cephas, about which Seiss has this to say. So Cephas is a deacon. All right, y'all know that there are deacons in the Christian church, also elders. I've shown also that El is a solar deity. The stars are suns, right? So the deacons are actually a collection of suns. So even they are solar references, right? Even they are solar references. But the deacon is a constellation located near a zodiac sign. All right? So Pisces, the constellation that we call Pisces, next door to it is the constellation Cephas. Therefore, it is a deacon. All right? Just as review, cardinals, right? The equinoxes and the solstices. All right? The cardinal signs, beginning of the seasons. So if there's a beginning of the 4 seasons, they had to be where? In order to know about the 4 seasons. In the Americas, right? Especially North America above Mexico. Right? That's where you have a solid winter, a solid fall, a solid spring. By solid, I mean is clearly spring, clearly fall, clearly winter, and clearly summer. If you go up into Alaska, there's no 4 seasons, right? If you go Southeast Asia, there are no 4 seasons. You have wet and dry season. You go in Africa, on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, they don't have 4 seasons. In Europe, as far as I know, they don't have 4 seasons. When I was there, it was cold, and it was cold as hell. That's right. It was cold, and then cold as hell. But when it was cold, the snow melted. But they didn't have a fall. At least I didn't recognize a fall. And where I come from, when fall comes, you know it's fall. Ain't no question about it. It's fall. All right. So these positions, these people who have stature, who have position in the Christian church, they carry astrological titles. They carry astrological titles. Okay? And here JC is said to be king. So king is a pagan reference. King is a pagan reference to the cycle of death and decay, leading to regrowth and regeneration. Solar references are also pagan references to death and decay, and then ultimately renewal, regeneration, regrowth. Y'all see it? That's why I'm belaboring this point. So Pilate asked JC if he is the king of the Jews. And above his cross was written, the king of the Jews. These motifs, that's plural, king, right? King. As I just mentioned, that's a reference to the pagan practice or celebrations, right? But what about the cross? The cross also, okay? These motifs reflect the second deacon of Pisces, Cephas, about which Seiss has this to say. So don't get what I said confused. King and the cross are solar references. Let me rephrase that. King is a reference to pagan celebrations having to do with regrowth and regeneration. Remember, the king has to die. Remember, we covered that in previous paragraphs, y'all. The king, when he begins to lose his mental or physical functions, before it becomes known to the masses, they have to take him out, terminate him. And that's supposed to bring abundance to the people. This is what I'm referring to. And the cross, of course, the cross, right? The Christians are not the first ones to use the cross. But anyway, let's go into the deacon, Cephas. Here is the figure of a glorious king, Cephas, wearing his royal robe, bearing aloof a branch or scepter, and having on his head a crown of stars. This is taken from Seiss, page 85. So here's the king. This is Cephas. All right, in his hand you'll see the branch or the scepter. Okay, doesn't JC come back also with the scepter? And you see on his head the crown. All right. So pagan and astrological or natural origin. All right. Remixed into Christianity. So let's continue. The king is both victim and redeemer, a notion which, says Liz Green, is very close to the heart of Pisces. She goes on. I covered this in the previous video, so I'm going to skip it. Y'all go back and watch the last two Pisces videos. I think it's 11 and 12. All right, or maybe even just 13. I don't remember. Let's go to page 213. The idea of the, quote, suffering redeemer, end quote, is present also in the first deacon of Pisces, which is Andromeda. The name Andromeda means man ruler. And then y'all see in question marks, king or queen. So I'm assuming by man, they're looking at it as either being gender specific, as in a male, or gender neutral, as in man or woman. Y'all see that? King or queen in parentheses. Okay. Andromeda means man ruler. Interesting enough, they didn't use mankind or human. The name means man ruler, king, queen, that's questionable. All right. To which the Latins frequently added mulier cantonata, the woman changed. Okay, so we went through this already. The myth of Andromeda bears so many parallels with the story of the crucifixion and resurrection. In other words, death and decay and rebirth, regeneration, renewal. Okay? With the crucifixion and resurrection of JC, the Christ figure, that it is worth quoting the first part of Manilius' version at length. So I'm not going to do it because I did it in the last presentation. So I'm going to skip that, okay? Now let's go to page 214. Page 214. But Perseus, returning from his destruction of Medusa. I remember when I was a little boy, I watched the TV show Perseus and Medusa. Any of y'all old enough to remember that? Returning from his destruction of Medusa, notices the chained Andromeda, falls in love with her, saves her from the dreadful sea monster, and eventually marries her. Okay? Now, this is likened to, it has parallels with JC's death and resurrection. Also interesting that it also is occurring in the sea. Did y'all catch that? This is occurring in the sea. So when we see these references to the sea, we already know what it is, right, y'all? We already know what it is. And so what is it? Clearly, this is reference to Raphaim, Dogon, O Annis. Reference to the sea. Okay? Reference to the sea. And the sea monster. Okay? So Perseus saves Andromeda from the dreadful sea monster and eventually marries her. Right? Remember, she's chained. Andromeda is chained. The woman chained. She's chained to the rocks on the sea. Right? She's given as a ransom sacrifice. Y'all got it? She's given as a ransom sacrifice. Also note that JC is images of JC. He looks like a man and a woman. Androgynous, right? Andromeda, androgynous. Y'all see the relationship? Or the additional relationship? JC looking like a little, y'all know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm saying? Looking like a little, you know what? In my time, what we would say in the 80s and 90s. Right? So he's androgynous, Andromeda. Okay? Point one. Point two. The sea. The sea. All right? Isn't that where the Raphaim go? Right, y'all? Isn't that where the Raphaim go? The answer is yes. Okay? So let's continue. These images of dying that others might live, let me repeat that. These images of dying, images, y'all, images of dying that others might live, of a virgin cross. Now, virgin, you should automatically what? You should automatically think what? Mary. JC's mother is said to be a virgin. Mary, myrrh. Sea. Myrrh means sea. Go check the etymology. Myrrh means sea. Mary, sea. And all of its associated words, they mean sea. Okay? They mean sea. So why all of these references to the place where the Dogon go? Why is JC referencing so much the sea? Why the Pisces? Why the most toxic of the zodiac signs Christianity chooses to use to represent itself? Why the scandalous deity Circes, Kirk, Circes? In modern English, that same deity's name is pronounced church, spelled the same way you would spell church. Why would the Catholics call its religion the Catholic Church, knowing that Circes is a deity who lures men and women into her house through beautiful sights to see? You know, her doors open, right? Beautiful sights to see, beautiful or amazing fragrances to smell, beautiful sounds and music to hear, delicious things to smell, everything to excite the senses in a positive way. And she probably was what? Dressed in stunning clothing, sexy and beautiful, right? So that both men and women would want to come into her house. And once you enter into her house, guess what? She shuts the door behind you, takes control of your mind, takes control of your mind, and then she feeds off of you, literally feeds off of you. Okay, now this is what the Catholics chose to call their organization, the Catholic Church, the Catholic Kirk, the Catholic Circe, the Catholic deity who steals or takes control of your mind and then feeds off of you, lives off of you. All right? And you're going to see that that's exactly what they did. How they went through Europe, taking people's land and then creating legal documents so that the heirs could never get that land back from the church. Y'all heard? So literally take control of your mind and then get you to give your religion, Christianity, your house, your insurance, Whatever you got at that time, they gave it so that they wouldn't have to burn in hell or go to purgatory, right? Hey, I'm going to pay you, I'm going to give you all of what I got up front, and when I expire, I'm good, I go straight to heaven. Right? And then your heirs, are left destitute because the house that they lived in, the land that fed them, now belongs to the Catholic Church. You think the Catholic Church was going to let them sit on that land and continue living? No. They're going to monetize it, right? I wasn't there. I don't know everything that happened, but I know what they do these days. They take it and they charge you rent. Okay? Now, do you think they wanted people to know what they were doing? No. They want people to know that, because if you know that that's your land, through the generations, if you know that that's your inheritance, it's yours and not theirs, well, maybe you're going to be willing to fight to get it back. Right? So they're going to hide that information. Hide it how? By destroying history and destroying people, so that the memory of it would be gone forever, until there's nobody left who remembers that the land belongs to those people. Right? The natural heirs, the rightful heirs. And then the land cannot be exchanged. All right? It cannot be exchanged into, out of the heir's hands. Y'all see? So this is where the concept of escheat and detainers come from, and hypothecations. These are all schemes having their origin in religion, Christianity. All right? And that the nation states adopted into their legal system based upon the doctrine of discovery. Okay? Based upon the doctrine of discovery. So the doctrine of discovery is the Catholic Church commission speaking on behalf of JC, the Christ figure, the Pope being the vicar of Christ, saying that all that these autochthonous people have, right? They listed names that they call us. Take all of their land, take their governments, their municipalities, their dukedoms, everything that they have that can be passed on as an inheritance. Y'all should know that that's also rights and titles. Take it and give it to the Portuguese and Spanish, the European powers. Now we're dealing with who? Also hybrids. But anyway, I'm going to stop that part of it right there. Let's continue with the story. So we see the parallels with what's happening, and history and law goes together. History and law, that includes natural law, go together. All right? These images of dying that others might live, of a virgin cross, that's Mary, of the innocent victim, of defeating the monster, even the perennial sin or the parental sin, which is original sin, they have here question mark, are all part of the JC story and had a profound influence on later Christian theology, not only on Christian theology, y'all, but on the Christian legal system. The Christian legal system, how they went about stealing, robbing, raiding the estates of the autochthonous Moors. All of them are prefigured in mythology of the constellation Andromeda. All right, y'all hear that? At the beginning of the 20th century, J.M. Robertson proposed the theory that the gospel account of the crucifixion, death, and resurrection of J.C. was originally scripted as a kind of play, which would have been presented to initiates of the Christian mysteries at a springtime festival. That means what? A festival in Aries. So let's tease out something small. Tease out of this something small. It is said that the Greeks and Romans would have these plays, and in these plays they would wear a mask. And the script of the play would teach the audience some law, some philosophy, some doctrine. And this is what the 20th century J.M. Robertson is talking about. Put it in that context, okay? At the beginning of the 20th century, J.M. Robertson proposed the theory that the gospel account of the crucifixion. So there's a play that was written. Who's the audience? Who's the audience? The initiates of the Christian mystery system. All right? So the initiates, this is the inner house that JC spoke about. Remember, JC was asked by the apostles, why do you always speak to these people in parables? And JC says so that they will never understand, so that they'll never get the sense of what I'm talking about. Because if they understand, they can repent and be saved. Right? Which is to say, look at that. What is that? I never saw a bug like that. Y'all want to see this bug? I never saw a bug like this. Where did it go? Okay, he's crawling up the table. If I see him crawl up, if I see him on top of the table, I'm going to show him to y'all, okay? I never saw a bug like this. Dang on. Hold on. Oh, y'all got to see this. Let me switch the camera, y'all. I don't know if this thing bites. Can y'all see it? What the heck is that? Let me see. Can y'all see that? I don't know what kind of bug this is. Anybody know what that is? If you know what that is, put it in the comment section. I think he knows I'm looking at him. What is that? All right, let me let that little fella be. Maybe he's hungry and I'm messing him up. Can y'all see him? Ooh, he got eyes too. I see his eyes. I tell y'all, I do not like bugs. Bugs are some of the ugliest things. Especially if they crawl on you and you don't know they're there. Surprise you. But anyway, I've seen some crazy looking bugs. Stuff that we don't have, or at least I never saw it in my own land. But the diversity of life is a beautiful thing, right? So let's continue. Where were we? Oh, I remember. So in the audience there are the Christian mystery system initiates, the inner house. These are the people who are privy to know what the parables mean. These are the people who are privy, according to the Christ figure. That's a big rooster. I should show them. Y'all want to see this big rooster? This is one of the things I like about being in Vietnam. There's so much nature. Can y'all see him? That's Froghorn Leghorn. Boy. Y'all remember that? Let me see. Check him out. I was hoping if he comes back so I can show his whole body, he's big. That's a big rooster. Before I went to Southeast Asia, before I came to Southeast Asia, y'all, I never saw a rooster or even a live chicken outside of like a field trip when I was in elementary school. Notice the top of his head, the top of the rooster's head. All right, our ancestors used the top of his head, that red thing on the top of his head, as a motif for the rising sun. Or I should just say the sun, okay? Because it's spiked like the sun, okay? Since it's red, it would be associated with what? When the sun is going down, the sky is usually red, right? And that's going to be associated with the Holy Spirit in theology, okay? Same as the tongues of fire are associated with the Holy Spirit in theology, okay? All right. So the top of the chicken's head, I forgot what it's called offhand. I showed it the other day, not the other day, but a couple videos back. I showed the rooster's, what is that thing called? It'll come to me. But the red thing on top of its head, that's a example of something in nature that was used by our ancient ancestors to represent the sun, okay? And I think it's Manly P. Hall, as we read in this book. I believe it was this book. Manly P. Hall associated sundown, when the sun is going down, and the redness in the sky with the Holy Spirit. Okay? All right? All right. And then the blue, when the sun is coming up, the blue, of course, that would be the baby Christ figure, right? Or Christ being resurrected. In Christian theology, Christ being resurrected, Easter, the blue. Okay, but y'all go back and read it. It's in this book. I just don't, offhand, I don't recall the page. But anyway, let's go back. Let's get back to the task at hand. All right. Oh, we were at the audience. So the audience is the inner house. Okay, and JC reveals all the secrets to those Christian initiates, i.e. those in the inner house. Now, y'all, you will recall that the young initiate, the youth, JC instructed the youth to come to his house at about 7 with only his loincloth on. Now, is that part of the initiation? So there's the rooster right there. He's pretty big. All right. So let me turn the camera back. This is a coffee shop. This is the style coffee shop that people go to just chill and relax. That's why they have these hammocks here. Okay, let me turn this around. All right. Okay. So if you want to get into the inner circle, maybe they're going to have, or the inner house, maybe they are going to ask you also to come at 7 o'clock with nothing but your loincloth on. Which today, I suppose, would be the equivalent of show up with nothing but a jock strap on, y'all. And y'all tell me what y'all do all night. Tell me what they do, you know, as they teach you the mysteries of the kingdom of the heavens. Tell me what they do, or what you did, if you're ashamed of it. Or, well, you might not be ashamed of it. That might be why you showed up. All right. So if you're willing and ready to get into the inner house, all right, show up with your loincloth, your jockstrap, and participate in those rituals where they teach you the mysteries of the kingdom of the heaven all night. Disgusting. All right. When would this happen? When were the plays given? The plays were given in the springtime. The plays were given in the springtime, the end of winter, beginning of spring. So where would they have had to be for there to, think about this, for there to be a clear ending of winter and the beginning of spring? Doesn't that say North America, right? Would they not, or would these plays not have had to take in place? I'm not talking about in real life, right? Because we know this is not real life. But the setting would have been North America. Where else are you going to find a clearly defined or a clear division between winter and spring? Y'all see it? North America. Better than that, East Coast. Because in Cali, it's just wet and dry, right? So you're getting into Midwest and the East, where you get the 4 seasons. Then you can start to think about the Mississippi, the Nile, Memphis, Chicago, Mecca, etc., 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 right? Okay, now let's continue. All right, let's continue. The very structure of the piece or the play and its dramatic quality so different, really, from everything which precedes it, lends support to this point of view. We know that the various pagan mysteries were celebrated in this way, so ain't nothing new with the Passion of the Christ story and the crucifixion, right, and the resurrection. Nothing new. And Apuleius, from the 2nd century CE, has given us a very graphic account of a springtime pageant in honor of the goddess Isis in the Golden Age. In the Golden Ass, ASS. All right? So that's Apollos, who lived in the 2nd century CE, has given us a very graphic account of a springtime pageant in honor of the goddess Isis in the Golden Ass. Isis is Mary, right? Which was originally called metamorphosis or transformations. The hero, Lucius. So Lucius means light. Lucius means light. Lucius, Luke, as in the book of Luke, or Luke Skywalker, right? Or Luke Skywalker, right? Darth Vader. Higher self, lower self. The hero, Lucius, who was changed into an ass instead of an owl by the application of the wrong magical potion, is eventually transformed back into a human being a year later by munching on roses. So here it's a clear reference to hybrids, right? Is it a reference also to, what is this magical potion? Is it genetic engineering? I'm just thinking out loud. Okay? The hero Lucius was changed into an ass. Was that change brought about through genetic engineering? Changed into an ass instead of an owl by the application of the wrong magical potion. Is that magical potion some molecule, some chemical molecule, some quote-unquote genetic medication? Is eventually transformed back into a Han Uman, a human being, a year later by munching on roses, when he is subsequently initiated into the priesthood of Isis, in which ceremony he approached the very gates of death. So y'all would correlate that to what? Somewhere around September 29th, which is the gate opening of the gates of hell. Right? And as the sun descends, as it descends closer and closer to its lowest point, which it will achieve somewhere around December 21, now the sun is at its lowest point in its annual orbit. It's in what? The bottomless pit. Dense darkness, the bottomless pit. Okay, so September 29th is the opening of the gates of hell. Evil is done in the darkness. All right. Okay, so when when Lucius is subsequently initiated into the priesthood of Isis, in which ceremony he approached the very gates of death and set one foot on Proserpine's threshold, yet was permitted to return. So this is Christ, right? This is Christ, dead for 3 days, after which he is resurrected. This is the sun, not showing any movement on the sundial for 3 days. This is Cancer, or the crab, walking sideways, such that there is no shadow cast on the sundial for 3 days, until 12 o'clock midnight, December 24th, the end of December 24th, and the beginning of December 25th, the sundial moves a full 1 degree, and the sun is said to be resurrected. Hence, Christ is resurrected, and they celebrate the resurrection of the Christ in Christianity in the springtime. They call it Easter. So it's like a delayed celebration, right? The Jewish religious people, they celebrate the sun passing northwardly over the celestial equator, hence the Passover. All right? In contradistinction to the sun falling southerly below the celestial equator in the fall, which is Christ being crucified. All right? Christ falling, Christ being crucified. All right? Okay, let's continue. When he is subsequently initiated into the priesthood of Isis, in which ceremony he approached the very gates of death and set 1 foot on Proserpine's threshold, yet was permitted to return. Wrapped through all the elements, he emerges from the sanctuary at dawn. Wearing 12 different stoles or stolies. I don't know how to pronounce that. That quote is taken from Graves on page 286. So sunrise, right? The sun is rising in the morning. And this is when Horus walks across the sky in 12 choruses or hours, right? Okay, 12 hours, 12 Horuses, Horuses. Just change up the spelling a little bit. Remove a vowel. Now Horus becomes hours. Okay? And the horizon, Horus, horizon, y'all see it? Walks across the sky in 12 steps. 12 steps, or 12 grades of high school, 12 jurors, 12 apostles. What else is there 12 of? Everything's 12, right? Everything is 12. Plus the Christ figure is 13. 13 is presented to you as an unlucky number. But 13 is actually, if you know the deal, if you know the score, 13 is a good luck number. Why? 12 apostles, 12 zodiac signs, 12, 12, 12, plus what? Plus the sun, the S-U-N, sun in the sky. Perfect government, perfect rulership, perfect government, 13. All right? So y'all had duped again with 13. 13 arrows in the eagle's claw, 13 feathers, 13 stars that make up the hidden Star of David. All right, etc. All right. So Christ emerges, Christ is resurrected after 3 days of apparently being dead. Okay? Because there was no movement of the shadow on the sundial. So this explains, or is the reason why almost all, if not all, of these pagan deities, the major ones, the big boys, are born on December 25th. That's the reason. Okay, you take any one of them, they're born on December 25th, and why? For the reason I just shared with you. That's why. Okay. Robert Graves comments on this passage. How long have we been going? Okay. So we still got a little bit more time. The seasonal transformations of the various named lowercase god of the mystery cults, the spirit of the year, spirit is capitalized, and year is capitalized, the spirit of the year were epitomized in the Athenian Linnea festival and corresponding performances throughout the ancient world, including Northwest Europe. All right. But what I want to stress to y'all start to spend a little time learning about these so-called Greek and Roman plays and the wearing of a mask. Okay, that's the essential part. Plays, wearing masks. The objective of which was to teach some principle or doctrine or philosophy. But more important than all of that, the character underneath the mask became the mask. Y'all understand? So if you're wearing a mask as a father in the child support system, then those statutes and rules, local rules, that administrative law procedure is going to apply to you because you're wearing that mask. Okay? If you are driving, you're wearing the mask of a driver. Okay? So those rules, those policies, let me refer to all of that as policies. They're going to be imposed upon you as attainders. Okay? Why? Because you're playing a role. You're an actor or actress in their play. You're an actress or an actor in their play wearing a mask. And so therefore, everything that applies to that mask applies to you because you are wearing it. You're playing a role in their play. So you need to get yourself out of their play. And you're not going to do that until you get out of religion. Okay? Until you get out of religion, take that mask off, and then be who you are, which is your nationality, right? And accept the inheritance that you have been given, which is your birthright. Okay, once you do that, with the honorable behavior and thinking, with the total abandonment of religion, you take that mask off. Okay? And now you begin to live honorably outside of that play. You're no longer an actor or an actress in that play. You're no longer wearing that mask. Okay? In other words, you're no longer a 14th Amendment citizen or chattel. Okay? That's what I want to, that's my point with that. This whole thing about being plays and initiates. And let me tell you, yes, when you come out of that system, when you come out of that, everything changes for you. It has to. Right? I know I've said this a million times, but the law of cause and effect comes into play. When you are acting in harmony with nature, you're going with the flow of nature, then you're going to be lifted up. When you go against nature, you're going to be pulled down. That's all this is. All right. The initiate identified himself with the lowercase God and seems to have undergone 12 emblematic transformations, represented by Lucius's 12 stoles, or stolies, I don't know how to pronounce that, as he passed through the successive houses of the zodiac before undergoing his ritual death and rebirth. Okay? Hence the yearly cycle from Pisces to Aries. The solar references, the pagan references. Remember what this subheading is about? Okay? Transformations, therefore, conveys the secondary sense of spiritual autobiography. Transformations conveys the secondary sense of spiritual autobiography. Now, I don't know what they mean by spiritual, but anyway, let's continue. And Lucius has spent 12 months in his ass's skin. An ass is a hybrid and is very stubborn, right? Very powerful and stubborn. But a hybrid. From one rose season to the next, constantly changing his house until his death as an ass and rebirth as a devotee of Isis, as a stubborn, ignorant fool. Y'all got that? So in other words, and I'm just telling you my thoughts, Lucius has spent 12 months in his ass's skin. So he's wearing the what? The mask of an ass? Or he's in the body of an ass, but he's not an ass. Right? Remember? The magic potion gone wrong, the genetic engineering project gone wrong, made him an ass. And from one rose season to the next, constantly changing his house, right? Each month is a different zodiac sign. Until his death as an ass, until his death as a hybrid, as a fool, as a stubborn fool, as a stubborn, ignorant fool, until his death as a stubborn, ignorant fool, until you decide to use your intellectual faculties given to you at birth, free of charge, until you begin to use them to discover who you are and to harmonize yourself with nature, whatever and however that process might be for you. That might be cutting people off. That might be getting out of religion. That might be stopping some actions or habits and starting new ones. Only you know what you're doing that makes a fool and an ass out of you, or that makes you a fool and an ass. A stubborn, ignorant fool and an ass. Only until you begin to learn linguistics, focus on learning linguistics, focus on improving your reading comprehension skills, focus on expanding your vocabulary. Focus on learning etymology and philology until you begin to separate yourself from that dark organization and from these corporations. You'll continue to be a stupid, ignorant ass. A stupid, ignorant, stubborn ass by choice. Which means you are operating at the level of a beast. And therefore, those who know law, and I'm also talking about hybrids, primarily hybrids, will cut you up and eat you like a steak on the table, i.e. hit you with bills of attainder. Take everything you got that you ever will have, so that each of your generations will have nothing. They will start from scratch. But most of y'all don't even care, because that's the way you had it. That's your mentality. You don't give a damn. Most of y'all. Islam to all the Moors. I'm DrYasapa from Zion Law School. I hope y'all will change your mindset, return to the Most High, start to harmonize your life with nature. The commandments are natural law. If you want to support my work, you feel it in your heart, especially my project to rewrite the Book of the Law into Ancient Ibaryath and Modern English, send your donation to my PayPal, paypal.me/Zion Law School. If you can try to send it to Cash App, which is $DrYasapa. If it doesn't go through, send it to my PayPal, which is paypal.me/Zion Law School. Or you can buy any of my several books that I've written on Ancient Ibaryath. You can buy them. And I recommend that every person in your house have a copy, not just because I wrote it, or wrote them, and because I want to get the fiat. No, not just because of that, but everybody in your house, your heirs, if you got 2, 3, 4, or 1, or 5 or more, they should have their own library. They should have their own library so they can understand what it means to have an attachment with books. Not just Google or a PDF, so that they can experience the attachment and develop a love for books. And that's our heritage anyway. So don't go try to find something wrong with what I'm saying, because I'm telling you right. All right. So you can support me that way. All right. And I'll use whatever fiat you send in to continue the work that I'm doing, to get the Book of the Law published. Not only published, but there's a lot that goes into it before you publish it, right? The upfront blood, sweat, and tears. Okay. Also, the classes, the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, which is a streaming online course. I just don't see how I don't have 100,000 or 1 million people subscribe to that course. That's just how powerful it is. But anyway, the links to all of the ways to support my work and to build your knowledge is in the description area, or are in the description area of this video. Islam to all the Moors, and Shalom.